Hello, welcome back. This is another video in creating a Pokemon style adventure game in AGS. Um, so in this is going to be quite a dry video. We're going to be basically reprogramming the mouse. So we have one button that kind of does everything and another button that cancels. At the moment we have like loads of different cursor types. If we go to mouse, or where is it? Mouse cursors. You know, we've got to walk to, look at, interact, talk to, all these different modes, and it's just a kind of an old way of doing things, and it's not very pretty really. So I've created I've just created a new sprite. Um, I've created a new sprite, a cursor sprite. So I'm going to import this in because obviously, you know, the old Pokemon games weren't naturally a point and click game. Um, but in this case, you know, it is. So we do need a cursor. So I'm just going to go into these cursor types, and I'm just going to change them to this. So we're just going to get rid of all of them because eventually we want to remove all of this artwork that came with the default game, and we won't be able to remove the images if they're being used by another element in the project. So I'm literally just gonna get rid of all of these things. Pick up. So they're out the way. Pointer. Because, you know, ideally, when it comes to packaging your game up for distribution and that, you don't want this kind of ugly default kind of artwork that came with the template. So I'm going to load up the global script. So we're going to go to scripts and we're going to go to global script. And we're going to go and find the mouse controls. So if we're going to scroll down, so on mouse click. So all of this we're going to get rid of. Okay, so it's going to, this is the kind of code that you're never going to look at again. And I'll try and explain it the best I can as I type it. So we're going to create an integer LT, which is like location type. So LT equals, so LT equals get location type mouse dot x mouse dot y. So we're literally, when the mouse is clicked, we're gonna get the type of location under the mouse's coordinates and store it in LT. Um, so and if you have an inventory item, so inventory item active inventory, that's what that AI is going to be, equals player dot active inventory active equals inventory game dot env activated. I'll just go activated. Just trying to do this off the top of my head, really. So when you click on an item in your inventory, your cursor does change to like the item that's in your inventory. So your cursor type does change. So this is we're just basically storing that information. Okay, so if button equals mouse left, then so if the left mouse button is pressed, if LT, that's that integer that we made, equals location nothing. So if there's nothing under the mouse, room dot process click mouse dot x mouse dot y mode, and it's going to be walk to. There we go. So basically, if there's nothing under our mouse cursor and we click it, then the default cursor type will be walk to, and our character will walk. Else, if so, active inventory room dot process click. So under the mouse's X and the mouse's Y, mode use inventory. So if our mouse cursor is an active inventory, then the mode that it's going to default to is the use inventory mode. Else room dot process click mouse dot x mouse dot y mode interact. So basically, if there's nothing under the cursor, we're walking. If our cursor is an inventory item, we're going to use it. Else, if there's nothing, if all of those things are false, then we're going to interact with whatever's under our mouse. Okay, so what does the right mouse button do? So we'll do else if button equals mouse right. So if active inventory player dot active inventory equals null. So we're basically, if you press the right mouse button and you have an inventory item that is active on your cursor, it's just going to get rid of it. Else room dot process click mouse dot x mouse dot y mode, and we'll just do look at. Okay, but there's also we also need to do the same for when the button, when the cursor actually is an item. It's complicated. It's just the way that AGS works, really. So we have it's more for like the inventory system. So if button, so else if button equals mode, and we want to use left inventory. So mouse left inventory. If active inventory active dot run interaction mode, and it's going to be use inventory. Okay. else player dot active inventory equals inventory active. Right, I will explain this the best I can, but there's also the right mouse button for the inventory. So else if button equals mouse right inventory. Then we want if active inventory player dot active inventory equals null, else inventory active dot run interaction mode look at. Okay, so it's going to be very easy to kind of get things wrong, but if we follow this exactly, it should be okay. I'm just going to run it and see if there's going to be any errors, and there will be. Okay, so it's that's the problem. So active, let me have a look here. Player dot active inventory. I think that's supposed to be square brackets, I believe. I think that might be the issue, or not. Oh, here we go. So that's another error. So else inventory active dot run interaction look at player dot active inventory equals null, else inventory active dot run interaction mode look at. Run interaction is not a public IA dot run interaction mode. I must have just misspelt that. So, okay. So that's working. So let me explain the best I can here. So the first section, these variables are literally just storing our mouse current state. So when we click on the on the room, we're going to store what the location type under the mouse is in this, and we're also going to store our inventory item in this active inventory. I've explained kind of what goes on through here. If there's nothing special under the mouse, then we're going to default to walking. If it's an active, if for our active inventory is true, and we click on something that needs to use the inventory item, we're going to use it. Otherwise, we'll interact with, say if it's a hotspot or something like that, or an object. This is for cancelling, so if we have an active inventory on our cursor and we press the right mouse button, it's going to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's going to default to this mode look at, so we'll be able to look at our objects in the inventory. So this happens, this is kind of like the cursor state when it's over our inventory window. So we're basically going to be selecting an item and storing it. And with the right mouse button, we're just going to deactivate what we have selected, and instead it will use the look at state. So it's not very well explained. It's a complicated little thing, but it's not something you will ever look at ever again. It's just one of these one-off things. I will quickly go to our GUIs, and there's this panel icon bar. I'm just going to switch this, so pop-up style, when mouse moves on top to the top of the screen, I'm just going to switch this, I'm going to switch it to visible false, because I don't want to see it. And the status bar will also, I'm also going to set that to false as well, so we can get rid of those things. So if we run the game, it compiled okay. So here we have it. So we can look about. Now I'm not having to switch. I'm not having to switch between states, and I can click on this hotspot, and I'm going to switch to a new room, and I can click back on here, and I'm going to switch back to my room, and I'm not having to bother with switching to different states. So if I go into general settings, there's one last thing that I want to change, and it's the mouse wheel. Because the mouse wheel is also kind of a way that you can change between the cursor types. So I'm just going to set that to false because we just don't need it. And I think that's enough for this video. That was a complicated little video, and I didn't do a very good job of explaining it. But if you follow it along perfectly, you'll have something working, and it just works. You can just click on anything, and it does what it's supposed to do. And that's in the on mouse click. So we'll do something a bit more fun in the next video, I promise. So I'll see you later.